average of the US and the majors, that kind of popped up and dollar plummeting down. Got to be really careful here jumping into some of this stuff. Dollar versus 10-year, usually they run side by side. 10 years been popping and dollar's been dropping. Like, what does this present the opportunity for? Either the 10-year to puke or the dollar to pop, or vice, or both at the same time. So, dun, 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 dun. More gaps. Check this out. Euro Bund. Bund down here. I mean, usually these run pretty parallel. Large divergence. Haven't seen that in a number of years. Usually these things resolve pretty violently. Just throwing it out there. This is one of those opportunity type situations. It's out there. That's a lot of people shorting the dollar. What does that mean? It means currency pairs and things where the dollar has been just obliterated. Now, if you wanted to go just like straight long US dollars, UUP, right? This is not a giant mover. Doesn't quite look like the DXY chart, but this will probably reverse right here. Now, if you wanted to take strategic pot shots, we got stuff like FXE. This may, as euros give it up, this may come back down violently. Got stuff like FXB, which is the pound sterling, FXG. I think it was G. Right. Nope. I have to. I can't remember all my FX. Yeah, FXY, yen, E, F, B, A, C. There they are. They're all right there. All lumped together. So you got FXY, FXE, FXF, FXB, FXA, and FXC. Right there. Any of them that you think might kind of do something different. I mean, look at that one. It looks like exponential stuff right there. And look, every time we've kind of done this in the past, right back down. Right back down. You think this time is different? Probably going to come right back down. And these are not big numbers, though. Right? Those are crazy looking moves, but it's not big numbers. So I'm probably not going to play this directly. But we're seeing this one is going to fall victim to this. As we saw dollars dropping, gold priced in dollars worldwide went exponential. Now, holy bananas, gold's down $100 an ounce today. Woo. 3% roughly. Just so happens, I was like, be careful. We might be topping out here. Roadmap line, real possibility, somewhere down here around 2,900 as we come up. And it's been years since we've hit that. Like back here in October 23. You don't think that maybe it might be time for a correction? If you're new here, you're like, what the fudge is the orange line? It's the roadmap line. I call it the roadmap line. And you can click on my logo underneath me, go to the channel homepage. The video that's pinned, my favorite indicator, that's it right there. I give you the code for it for free. You just got to watch the video. Now, if you're somebody that's like, okay, I'm not a coder, I'm not a DIYer, I don't do that sort of thing, that's cool. In the description, expand out the more button underneath, the description of the video. $5. You can get easy button and just put it on your chart. I mean, literally $5. There's not much else in trading that you can get for $5. I mean, most people want $5 a month or something like that at the minimum. In fact, if you become a channel member, it's like $5 a month. But for $5, you can get the market roadmap line, right there on your chart. Anyway, there you go. I digress. I've been kind of going through it all week, how to use it. So, all right. All trading involves a substantial risk of loss, though. You may lose money doing this thing we do called trading. And past performance, just because I predict things and they come true, doesn't mean that I'll ever get another one right again. This presentation is intended to be informational, educational, fun, entertaining, not a recommendation to be buying or selling any financial instrument, including stocks, options, bonds, forex, futures, cryptos, treasuries. If you need somebody to tell you what to do, you need to hire and consult a financial advisor, which is not what I do. Here we are, Wednesday, April 23rd. Man, we're already to the end of the month. Like, this is already the end of April. It seems like we just started April, and here we are staring down the end. We've got a lot of earnings this week. Tesla earnings were last night. They epically disappointed, but in the company update, they kind of announced what was happening. It's not that the cybercab is hitting this, they said there's differences. There's the robo-taxi, which is the car they showed off last November, and there's cybercab, cybercab is a product that will be on all self-driving cars, including the 3, the Y, the X, the S, the Cybertruck. Any vehicle that has full self-driving capability will be a cybercab. Will be able to participate in their cybercab program. That's interesting. So when they launched the cybercab program in Austin, Texas in June, they said, Elon specifically said it's going to be running on Model Ys, the best-selling car in the world. That's clarity that we didn't previously have. Now, they're also getting ready to launch the robotaxi vehicle, which is probably a more affordable model, and that very well could happen before the end of the half, because they keep harping on the fact they're going to launch some new, more affordable vehicle before the end of first half of 2025. That's all interesting. Very interesting. So to me, it's very interesting. At first, their stock didn't really pop, didn't really drop. I mean, it had a little bit of volatility and it just kind of hung. And then after Trump said, I'm not going to fire Powell, we saw, and then the call happened at kind of simultaneously, Tesla ramps off. And, several people were like asking Elon during the call whether he's, has this influence or that influence over Trump. He's like, look, Trump's the president. I'm just an advisor. He's like, Trump has hundreds of advisors, if not thousands of advisors. He's like, I'm just one. He doesn't listen to me necessarily. So on tariffs and stuff like that, Tesla's doing their own thing to lock in their supply chain. Now, we also have Google coming up later this week. We'll take a look here in a minute. So Tesla, I feel like, has a large upside opportunity as they launch this whole new product. There's not really another company that competes with them. Everybody's like, well, they're going to compete with Waymo and this and that. But they plan on rapid expansion of their cybercab program nationwide, probably within a year, is their kind of like goal. So it's going to go from just Austin, expanding out very quickly. They mentioned that they had some locality issues that, their example was, so you launch something in southern Texas, there's no snow on the ground, right? The cars don't have to deal with snow. Everything works pretty good. He's like, you take your cybercab program and you put it up in New York City where it snows a good portion of the year. And now all of a sudden you have to deal with snow in Manhattan. And that's not exactly like no snow in South Austin. And I said, those specific instances will have to be worked through. What are the difficulties with that cybercab program when you do something like that? They said their goal within the year is to be able to climb in a Tesla, let you go to sleep, and you wake up at your destination. That's pretty freaking cool. So we'll see if that, a lot of people don't think that's going to happen, but we'll see. Definitely we'll see. So that's kind of the call in a nutshell. I am long Tesla. I own a couple. We'll see what happens. So otherwise, the week here kind of devoid of big news. We do have some 9:45 and 10 o'clock news right there. Just kind of red events. Probably, those have not really been affecting the market that much. New home sales, maybe, but it's been more about Trump than it is anything else. Trump saying this, Trump saying that, and some people are super annoyed with it. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. So we've got tomorrow the weekly unemployment claims, core durable goods, maybe move the market a little bit. We've got consumer sentiment and inflation on Friday, which they're that one's yellow and that's a orange. Not really been a big market mover. So we're kind of wrapping up the month here with not a ton of economic news. Next week, coming in here, JOLTS jobs, consumer confidence. That's probably more important than JOLTS jobs. Nothing on Tuesday. Nothing really on Wednesday. Thursday. And then Friday we get the non-farm jobs again. And non-farm employment and the unemployment numbers. And we kind of kick it off again, starting on Friday. So should be interesting rolling into May. It's kind of now next week, economic news wise, not much, but on the earnings front, we've got a lot of stuff. This Thursday we have Google holding up really well right here, popping a little bit, may be able to break out. But next week we have like Apple on the 1st. It's popping nicely. If we can get above the roadmap line, that may be indicating we're going up pretty big. Now, we also have the potential to rally up here into earnings and stop and turn down. And that could lead to a large downside. So that's the caution here on Apple. Meta also reporting earnings next week on the 30th. This made a lower low. A little bit different situation than Apple at this point. Their resistance all the way up here at 627. This has a large upside opportunity if they can pull their junk together. Microsoft also next week on the 30th. So we've got Microsoft, Meta, Apple. That's 3 out of the Mag 7. Google this week. Tesla this week. That's 5 out of the Mag 7. Who's left? Amazon. They're also coming up on the 1st. We got a little ways to go to get above that resistance. This may still need a dip just a touch lower to finish this up. Be careful. And then the last one is NVIDIA, but it won't report earnings out here till deep into May. Kind of the cheese stands alone here, not really following the rest of the path here on the Mag 7s. So the rest of them kind of report early, right around right now. And this one kind of likes to be out on its own. This has a potential 618 bounce in place. If we can break back up through all this major resistance right here, upside, caution. We could also dip down to this 70 level that I've been talking about for like a long time. Gosh, it's getting to be almost a year ago I've been talking about this. Wow. So be careful here on NVIDIA in particular. Seems to be some rotation, like the favor. Think about it. A few years back, a narrative would only last about 2 weeks. We would get a narrative. It would last about 2 weeks. We get a big, everybody be loading the boat, investing in it. 2 weeks go by, new story. New investment, new opportunity. All that money start flowing into the new opportunity. And we did that almost all year long. Like we had like 26 major news stories, that money constantly flowing. This AI narrative has been kind of the dominant investment narrative for like a year, maybe 2 years now. And just kind of really dominating the headlines and the stories, even though we've kind of peak investment up here and we've been drifting off. It's like, where's the actual real economic benefit and the real company bottom line benefit for AI? Like, where's the major products? Where's these like solve all your problems AI things? Now, sure, you can talk to, oh, information is great. You know, it's like talk to an AI and get all your life questions answered. What should I have for dinner? What should I, you know, the mysteries of life. When should I go to the bathroom? But is that really helpful? Now, the only company I know of that has a AI based product that actually does something, I've not been shy about this. Tesla. I mean, you can go ride in a car and it drives with AI. And funny enough, we rejected that breakout right there. Probably going to go back down. There's potential to come back down. Be careful. All right. When Cybercab hits the streets, this may launch off. It's a whole new product segment, and nobody can really compete with them on the scale. They were like, literally, we have millions of Cybercab capable vehicles already produced, already on the streets, already in owners' hands. So all they have to do is turn it on. A lot of people betting against it, so it'll be interesting. Google, I'd love to see this break out, but it's also in a downtrend. So we're sitting right here. I do have short puts sold, 140 and 133. I've got some short puts here. I've got short puts here. Looking for this thing to pop. I am willing to buy the shares at both these levels if that's what happens. If this breaks out, large upside potential. I am long-term bullish Google, long-term bullish Tesla, long-term bullish this one too. Long-term bullish Delta. I think we're probably coming up here. Probably out maybe next year. So lots of good stuff. The list was really big today. 219 gainers. Market feeling some relief on all this, not really tariff news, but just relief on Jerome Powell not getting fired. Now, I do caution here as we come up. I mentioned yesterday we were probably bottoming, and the day before. That looks like what we're happening here. But the key levels are still right in here. Right in here. That low, this high, and that massive resistance right there. It all comes together in a perfect storm of price right here in this level, 50, I've been saying 5,600 to 5,800. That's basically where we're at. And that's more the cash chart than it is the ES chart. Look at that gap today. Wow. Right up into this trouble zone. We've got to keep pushing through. If we come up in here and reject, that opens the door for a next much bigger leg down. Much bigger leg down lower. We've been talking about potentially something like that. Come down off of here and drop down to this zone. Allergies get me, excuse me. Sorry, everybody. And if we can break through, potential 66. The top right up in here. So this is a major resistance zone that we're going to have to get through. Right there. S5TW, stocks above their 20-day moving average on the S&P. We did the double dip. It's really a triple dip at this point. We dipped, bigger dip. Now this is for those of you that know, you recognize the pattern. Now it's so steep that it actually goes off the rails, but it really would probably pull this back down like this. more like that. It's a head and shoulders type thing. And if we go blasting out of here, shoot us right back to the top. I think I got to be careful though. This does not trend past 100. You can't get more than 100% of the stocks in the S&P 500 above their 20-day. Can't get more or less than 0% of the S&P 500 stocks up, below their. So this is a giant market oscillator, not really a head and shoulders type chart. But that is a head and shoulders type pattern. That is a reversal pattern, is what the point is. That can shoot us back up to the top. S5FI, man, we're getting a ton of alerts. Look at that. Same kind of potential reversal. Big dip. Less big dip. Kind of like what we see often enough when we reverse. Big dip, less big dip, and reverse. Big dip, less big dip, and reverse. Big dip, less big dip, and reverse. You kind of get the theme. Big dip, less big dip, and reverse. We do it over and over. It's a pattern that we've kind of met this. Now, it doesn't mean it can't dip again. We can always do something different, but we usually see a big dip, a less big dip, and then a strong reversal. It's kind of what we set up in the market here. Look at the stocks above the 200-day. Not really responded a whole lot, but we did bottom out, and the potential would be to expect this to go back up long term. Now, this one usually takes up to a couple years to go from the bottom to the top. The top back to the bottom. It's a very slow moving chart, so this may take a while. It's possible that it goes fast, but it's not possible it takes out to next year. It just sets the stage for us. So the fast time frame, probably going to go up. We'll probably get lots of ups and downs in the fast time frame, but we're probably set for popping. We haven't really been up here for a while now. Medium time frame, we've been working on this downtrend for a while, so time to work on, and this could rip right back up to the top very quickly after being this beat down. And then this one could go fast, but probably going to go slow. That's just probably, you look back at COVID, it took us from March till November to get back to the top. We went from the top in January to the bottom in March, but then it took us from March till November to get back to the top. And then we topped out in April, and the market topped out here. So this shows you how, this isn't necessarily the market itself. We topped out here in participation, but we topped out the actual market prices on the S&P here before we went down the toilet in 2022. Right there. So it's just something to kind of, these are like dashboard gauges for me for the market. Where is the potential for everything to go? Potential to go higher. So diving in, looking at ES. Thanks, Jerry, for being a channel supporter, a channel member. I do appreciate that. My family appreciates it. That money helps go toward the 50K challenge. So this will be the major resistance in ES. We've got the downtrend highs cooking. We've got this low and that high coming across here. So there's a major, major, major resistance blob right there. If we could shoot on up through it, that's the ideal situation, and we can go look for upside. Otherwise, there's big danger of taking another big hit off of here. NASDAQ, same kind of situation, same sort of setup. We've got this coming across here like this. There's a lot of people short. We are pushing through the downtrend. This is maybe the brightest spot in the market right now. Best good looking thing I've seen right there. Check plus plus. Want to get up through that though. The downside of that breaking out is the fact that we're coming right into this big resistance blob that's just the same as everything else. This one actually looks like it completed 5 down. So we're actually looking for this to build something bullish and get the fudge out of here. Russell, whole different story. We do have major resistance right up here. Could just blast up here, stop here while everything else makes new highs, and then we resume the downtrend. But this is probably in a bigger downtrend. CL, I was warning that we might turn down off of this resistance right here. Despite all the big draws we got last night, yesterday afternoon, we're seeing this turn down pretty violently. If this breaks through the kind of this uptrend of lows, we'll probably go cruising down, make a lower low down in the low 50s, maybe even at 50. GC, remember, probably gonna plummet back. It's probably what we got cooking. Bitcoin breaking out. It's a nice breakout. We're stuck. We're coming into the next resistance though, is the problem. May slow down a little bit. May even have to retrace back to the roadmap line from here. I kind of wanted to see it get up here before we did that, before we go higher. The pathway. I mean, if I pull up the right chart, I drew what I expected right here. The blue thing right there. Just, I thought we were going to do it from over here in early April, but no, we do it from late April. And so this is kind of the potential path we've got up to that 150 to 170 area. I think we'll experience a big pullback probably once we get near these highs over here. Get into that 100 to 108,000 area. We may get a nice big fat pullback, retest the daily roadmap line before we can go shooting off. Might be what we got cooking. Any guess on a GC timeline? Time is the hardest part of this whole thing. I don't know if you're new here. I recognize your name, but you know, let's see what GC tells us. You know, looks like that would be a reasonable one. So might be, say, 6 months. So we might be in a grind down on gold for the next 6 months or so. We did come up here fast. It could come back down fast, but could be a... It's probably likely, more likely to do this. And then somewhere out here in the fall, we find the bottom. Could go fast. Could be down here by June, July. But it also could take 6 months. Could take longer. I mean, could take a year. It could just grind down for a while. So I think too many people are expecting the dollar to absolutely plummet out and gold to absolutely rocket to the moon. And what happens when everybody's in one trade? There's a lot of people long gold. Be careful. NKD is my indicator of global liquidity. Coming back up quickly if we break through this orange box that we've been consolidating in. And we kind of we dipped out, retested, and plummeted down. Took the US market with it, as I foretold. You say, well, no, it was the NKD was going with the US. Okay. Tomato, tomato. They both went down. Coming back up, we break through here. US market's probably going up with NKD. It's my global liquidity indicator. Right? As global liquidity increases, there's the big target up here. Just touching on Ethereum. It has large upside to go to get back to any reasonable level. We're still not even into that, even though we're making crazy big moves up, 7%. This is still well below any kind of breakout levels, this thing's going to have to really perform. We've got hundreds of percent to go up just to get back to, Bitcoin's up here, broken out, all-time highs. Still, it's higher. Bitcoin's still higher than it was during the last peak in crypto, before the last crypto winter. This one has not exited a crypto winter. Like, it's still in a crypto winter. Winter, I'm saying, not winter. Winter. There's the all-time high. We did not even get close to testing it right there at either of those peaks. And now we're down here. The risk is breaking down to a new low over being able to come all the way back up to get to targets. Could it do it? Sure. Is it likely? Not really. I'm more about high probability stuff. Now I go pull all the gainers. That's things moving $2 or more up in the market, in the pre-market, and put it on the gainers list. Things are moving down $2 or more, put them on the decliners list. There is a lot of stuff on here. Now, lately, we've been going through and looking at opportunities. So at this point, I'm going to grab my opportunities list, which was pretty fat yesterday with the reversal we had in the market. I'm going to go copy that. I didn't actually plan to do this. I just, spur of the moment, I'm like, maybe this is more fun than digging through 200 charts looking for opportunities. Let's look at the stuff that fired off entries last night and see if there's anything good. There's 34 of these. You can let me know if you like this. We've been doing this lately. Yesterday, there weren't any on the list. And I saw Spotify on there. That's a good one. So ACNB. So this is, I have a tool that loads 3,600 tickers every evening and checks for the roadmap pattern. Back to the orange line, we're looking for a high up here, a low down here below, and a move up above a 618 retrace. Now, this tool draws charts and everything for me and in Discord and throws it out there. Now, this is the one it found. I can just see it right here. There's the high that it found. There's the low it found. Here's the close above right there. And then we're rocking and rolling already. And the target is right here, 45.81. We can turn on the algorithm in here and see. Let's see if it has any statistics that I pulled up for that one. I'm just curious. It actually does have some statistics. We'll have to pull up the, there we go. Yep, bang on. So this one hasn't fired off an entry in a good long while. There's the potential though. And this didn't meet the criteria right here for this particular version of the tool. My trading view tool and my Python tool that runs independently in Discord running a little bit different. So yeah, that profit target is 45.68 according to the Python tool. Python's just a programming language, just in case, anybody's lost there. Here's this one. Here's the high, here's the low. Deep back testing, there's the statistics for this one. 69.57 and 1.65. Looking for this to rally on up here. 103.74. BANF. Ooh, that one's kind of stopped out a couple times. So we are looking at, let's see what this one picked up. Yeah, all the way back over. Picked up this high. Picked up this low. Grab that high, grab that low. That was the entry on that close right there. There's the, we're still moving up. 126.84 is the target. There's your historic numbers there. BAP. That one fired off too. Here's the high, here's the low. 201.88 is the target. Entry right there. BATRA. Here's the high, here's the low. Now that's an interesting one right there. The red candle moving up today. 46.03 would be the target up in there. BBAV. Another beautiful one right here. Big, nice, fat pullback. 15.26 on the upside. This one not as great on the win rate here. Look at that, 59% and negative profit factor. If you're new to profit factor, this number is the amount of gain for every unit of money lost. So for every dollar lost, you gain 42 cents. Do some quick math. That means for every dollar, every dollar you lose, you never get back 60, roughly 60 cents of that, 58 cents. So net loser. Be careful. Be careful. BCML. Across 50,000 trades, this has a high probability of working out. All right. How high? Like 75% of the time. When we go from the high to the low, when we kick off the entry, oh, this is actually that one, that high, this low. How do you know which one? No, the software looks for this kind of stuff right here. When it looks like, when you see that and that dip, that's a potential entry. That's why they kicked off here. And it promptly stopped out when it went $1 below the low right there. Now, instead of grabbing that high and going for this low down here, it actually, the way the algorithm kind of works, it looks for the most recent bounce where we had a nice big move up and a retrace down below the roadmap line. It filters out, it stops looking backwards when we dip below the roadmap line. So it just focuses on the current price action here. That's kind of the way my tool works. And right there was the close above the 618. So when we get that close above the 618, 75% of the time we're going to go on to hit that 1.1448, which is 90% of the way to the 1272, which is 70% likely to get hit. Did a lot of statistics on this. 70% likely to hit there. 75, I like the extra 5 bonus potential on that target. There you go. We see plenty of them fail to get that little bit extra. So that's the target. BERY. Some of them are very crystal clear, clean. There's the high, there's the low, here's the entry. 76.19 is the target, 75% profitable, and 1.66, not bad. The only thing on here, for this particular ticker, there's only 8 trades, so you've got to rely on the historic win rate of the entire pattern, which is 75%. So this is in line with historic pattern. Golly, excuse me. BUR. Here's the high, here's the low. I kind of missed that high slightly. I don't turn on the magnet tool. I probably should, but it annoys the holy bejesus out of me, so I don't turn it on. There's the entry right there. Here's the upside potential. 16.38. That's a lower price one. You see, 75% of the time, profit factor is slightly negative, though. That means the losers on this particular ticker have eaten it up, but it's only got 4 instances of this trade ever working on this ticker. So you kind of have to go back to the long-term statistics of the pattern. The profit factor for that, let's see if I left that up where I can get the numbers. I may have closed it yesterday when I was doing maintenance on all this stuff. Let's see, where? I can just open it back up. Yeah, I did close it when I was hunting the all right, where did the daily patterns go? I just had them open. There we go. Apparently it's been a week. So the average profit factor. See if I can get that number. Let's see, equals average D2 to D. D. And the average profit factor is 1.28. So when they don't have a statistical population, which 30 is a statistical population if you haven't taken advanced statistics. When it's below 30, you rely on the 1.28 would be the average, 75%. So this is likely to, it's a positive expectancy trade. So 16.38. All right, next up, CBG. This already kicked off back here on TradingView. It's already in the trade, did not stop out here, did not go $1 below the low. Why $1 below the low? Because I did a whole bunch of different stops. $1 below the low was the one that worked out better for me. More often than not, $1 below the low, it just worked. Now, on low price tickers under 10 bucks, $1 below the low gets to be like 10+%. So you got to be careful when you're trading lower price tickers. That's a bigger percent versus stuff like Amazon. That's, $100. $1 below low is like 1%. So, or less. CCK. Here's the high. Here's the low. Oh, that high. Excuse me. That high, that low. 96.20. CM. Both those patterns. Just rewind a second. Both of these patterns are valid. Both these targets are valid. That bigger pattern, that's still valid. That's valid. So targets are 96 and then 101 for the extension. You may want to get out here. You may just want to move your stop up to here and ride it on up to there. CM. Oh, I see what it did. It grabbed this little bitty pop right there, and it's already at the target. So the bigger pattern hasn't kicked off yet. DGX. That one worked out last time. Setting it up again. Here's the high. Here's the low. There's the entry. 181.80 target. DTE. There's the high. Here's the low. There's the entry. 142 targets. eBay. Ooh, that one looks spicy. Spicy and delicious. I like that one for 73. It worked out here. It stopped out here. A little bit volatile. Profit factor is fat on this one. Really fat. Look at that. 2.19. 89%. Almost a statistical population. Needs 7 more trades. There you go. So remember, it may underperform since the historical across 56,000 trades is 1.28 on the profit factor. So it could take a loss here. EPR 23, 60, 1.34. Not bad. Here's the high, here's the low. Looking for that move up to 56. EWQ. Here's the high, here's the low. There's the entry. Looking for that 43.06. FEZ. Here's the high, here's the low. Here's the entry. Looking for 59. GCOW. Here's the high, here's the low. There's the entry. Target 38. GNTY. Here's the high, here's the low. There's the entry. And the target up here at 44. HIG. That's a really pretty one. Here's the high, here's the low. Here's the entry. 127 would be the target right up there. What's the win rate on that one? 1.1. Not the best. LQK. LKQ. LQK. Man. 45.62 targets. Negative profit factor. LVHD. High dividend. There's that high. There's that low. There's that barely a close above the 618 and 42.15. And that one kicked off right there too. And next up, Melly. A lot of people like Mercalibra. So Mercadoodle. Here's the high, here's the low, there's the entry. Sort of, did kick off. So the target up there, 2, 4, 7.3. Holy bananas. Let's see what the official tracker said on that one. That is wild, that number. Let's see. Melly. Yeah, the upside potential of $340. Wow, right there. So target is 246.68.75. The $340 potential from the close of yesterday. 4.5 profit factor and 83%. That's pretty smoking, but only 12 trades, so be careful. That could bring it back into Loserville. NIC. Here's the high, here's the low. Potential to run on up to 124. That's a pretty fat profit factor too. Here's the numbers on that one. We've got target 124.94, stop low 96.90. There you go. Nice historic numbers. A little bit different than the numbers here because of the testing window. Actually, it booked the winner right there, so it changed the numbers. My numbers in Discord are basically a year old, so trades that happened in the last year aren't necessarily reflected in those numbers. So that last one was a winner. There's the high. Here's the low. Actually, probably picked up that high and that low. Yep. And 40.70 is the target for that one. NTES. There you go, right there. Target 112.94. This has been a little choppy. We did back test the downtrend. This has been a downtrend of highs. We did back test deeply, pop back out, set to, this might even outperform, may go to new highs. Pretty spicy on that one. PCB. I don't really like this pattern. Just throwing that out there, but technically it would have grabbed that and we're already almost to the target, so be careful. If I was doing it, I would have picked this, but the algorithm, I know why it picked what it picked, but I would be waiting for a close above this on this ticker. And you look at this right here, it's more likely to fail. It's not a very reliable ticker, so be careful. Ruger. Nice little potential here. There's the high, there's the low, popping above 41.26. SLF. Here's the high, here's the low, popping above 60.22 is the target. SYBT. Here's the high, here's the low. That one, well, technically it won't be an entry till today. The filters have it would have quit looking back right. This took too long for it to trigger. That's why it's not triggered off right here. This is too slow. I look for a certain speed on these bounces to produce the high reliability, and this one's too slow, so I'll be very careful. 81 is the target, but it's on the slow end of what I look for. Why did it trigger on the other scanner? I'll pull it up and show you. A couple of them are missing because like Spotify is on the top. Let's see, SYBT. Yeah, Spotify kicked off. There's the high, there's the low, there's the entry, and smoking hot. Look at that, 678, $87 upside, 80% win rate, 5.9. SYBT. See, it grabbed this high back here, but it doesn't extend back far enough to get the other high that's up further when it looks for the pattern. So it has a filter on it. This took too long. So that was too many candles to get back to here. I don't like the downtrend here, but That doesn't make it not work, 'cause that's at a 90% win rate on 10 trades, which is not statistically significant, but, you know, hey. And 4 profit factor. And then VRNA. Here's the high, here's the low, there's the entry. 73, 46 upside. Beautiful. And Spotify. Here's the entry. Look for that big upside, 780s. You know, I've been talking about this one for a few days. That looks really nice. Really, really nice. Now, we do have earnings coming up next week. Be careful. Alrighty. That's a lot of trades, and we kind of hit the highlights on the rest of the market a little bit. There's opportunity all over the place. Netflix is going to ramp on up to its targets. It kicked off back here before earnings, and 1100 still the target. Be careful out there. We could see a pullback. We're coming up into that danger zone. My expectation for the day, still bullishness. We're going to get into this. All things created equal, we're going to get into this resistance zone. And at the minimum, right now, the minimum I'm looking for, I'll do this on cash chart too. I'm really looking for this level right here, 58.50 at the minimum. Go look at the cash chart. That puts us right there, 57 and 57.40. That's the minimum level I expect. So if you bought calls yesterday when I said buy the freaking calls because we're going higher, that's your danger zone. Now, if you're already in good profit, book it out, baby. Right there. That's the danger zone right up there. All right, everybody. Good luck. The account you save may be your own. Nobody's watching out for your money more than you. I promise you. It doesn't matter how much you pay somebody. They don't really care about your money. They care about making your money their money. That's what they care about. That's what everybody cares about, right? Think about it. Be careful out there. Cover your butt. Watch out. We'll probably get a pullback. I mean, this is crazy moves up. So we'll probably do a pullback. If we pop in here, we might get some pullback before we can go on up there. Have a great day. See you again tomorrow. Same bad time, same bad channel, 9:15. We'll do it all over again. Looking for awesome opportunities in the market. Have a great day.